To lead a life of purpose and passion, you need to know and accept yourself. And my Empower Hour consultations can help you to do that. If you'd like to schedule in with me, you can do that through the link you'll see above. You can't help but thinking, what if? You can't help but feeling this longing for a different path that, had you made different decisions in the past, you might have gone down, that seemed somewhat promising, that seemed like it was going to bring you precisely what you were looking for. A life where there was just more oomph, more mojo, more joy, more happiness, more pleasure. And right now, perhaps you're finding yourself in a position where, although some things in your life are probably going well, there's something that you're wanting and you're not finding that you're getting it. One part of you may feel like, for some reason you're not good enough to have it. Another part of you, in association with it, even though you're feeling that longing, you've kind of learned over time to compartmentalize those feelings. But beneath the surface, there's this restless energy that's surfacing that's making you want to just kind of rip your clothes off and go run wildly through an open field. But I wouldn't go quite that far. Unless, of course, you don't mind, getting a citation for doing something like that. But then that would lead you to another experience of not having the pleasure that you want. In short, there are certain ways that you can reestablish your connection to that particular wellspring of pleasure without going overboard. But those feelings of restlessness, those feelings of nervousness, all of those things are very necessary because there's what's going to prompt you to take the changes that you need to take in the first place. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on. There is a solar eclipse that is approaching on the 25th of October. Duh, that's why we're kind of doing this video in the first place. But I know you may not know what solar eclipses are all about, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about those, just briefly, right? The solar eclipses always happen on a new moon. Lunar eclipses always happen on a full moon. And eclipses generally tend to happen when there is a new moon or a full moon in close proximity to what are called the nodes. In Vedic astrology, we call those Ketu and Rahu. Those are the points that create eclipses in the chart. And eclipses are like portals. They're portals for change. And in actuality, it's the period that follows those eclipses that's the most important quite often, and not always the actual event of the day of the eclipse, other than the fact that it opens a portal. And that 2 week period of time in between eclipses, because new moons and full moons are always within 2 weeks of each other, that 2 week period of time is a profound period for positive change in your life. And with this particular solar eclipse, it's taking place in close proximity to Venus. Now, because of Venus being connected with the sun and the moon, Venus receives a certain degree of shame from the sun. I'll explain this here in a moment. And a degree of starvation from the moon. In short, Venus wants pleasure, right? And it's feeling uneasy and it's feeling impatient. But it seems to have a hard time establishing itself in a certain direction that seems like it's going to bring the level of healthy pleasure that the person wants, that you want, right? Because of unfulfilled needs that you have and the manner in which you're trying to seek the fulfillment of those needs. It needs to be approached in a completely different way. There needs to be a radical overhaul taking place, a portal that you need to step through into a different phase of your existence. But that portal requires letting go of something else, or perhaps even someone else. And it's pretty powerful. And one part of you is ready, just like you can be in the middle of summer on top of a diving board to dive into that pool of water because you know it's going to be refreshing. But there's that initial bit of diving in that makes it feel like certain parts of your anatomy are just going to kind of shrivel up if you're a guy, or that it just might be too darn cold for you to deal with that initial period. But boy, is it going to be exhilarating when you make those changes. So the answer is there are certain ways that you're seeking fulfillment, that you're seeking happiness, and you know what those relate to, right? It's connected with where the moon rules in your chart. And again, you can schedule in with me if you want to find out a little bit more about this and what it's kind of triggering for you. But just to drop you some hints, it will relate to the moon in your chart because that moon is the planet that's seeking to have its needs met, but it's not getting its needs met over and over and over again. And so that's giving you a lack of pleasure. Life just seems like it's losing the zest that you want it to have. With this connection with the sun, one part of you feels somewhat imperfect or not good enough or ashamed that you made certain decisions in the past that are leaving you in a position where you're feeling like you're stuck trying to establish communication with the part of yourself that you haven't been connected with for a while. But you know what? That part of you, it's inside of you and it's going, hey, remember me? Hey, you remember? We used to have a lot of fun together. I'd really like to have that fun again. I'd really like to have that fun again. Oh, I can hear you. I can see you. Wow. And over time, you can have that connection again. You can have that connection again. The problem is you can't reclaim the past. You can't go back and recreate what already happened. Those things happen. You can learn great lessons from that, though, about what you don't want now. And you can learn very deep lessons about precisely what you do want. And you can begin to take steps that are more in alignment with who you are, with your needs, with those things that you value, with those people that you care about, and forge a new path ahead. One that makes sense, one that's actually wise, and one in which you don't have to hide your emotions beneath the surface. Because whether it's just you connecting with yourself or you connecting with another person, that person in the mirror or that person externally will understand better. You can begin to take the steps, and it all starts right now with this solar eclipse period. And if you could use a little bit of help with the process, again, I do offer my Empower Hour consultations. There's other offers that are on my site too. You can find all of those through my astrological services page, which you will find linked above. That's going to do it for this look at the solar eclipse in Swati Nakshatra, which takes place on the 25th of October, 2022. Until next time, please do take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.